I'm just relentlessly stubborn, man. I simply never surrender. There's no universe where I would have ever quit. When I turned 11, I declared, I'm going to become a YouTuber. I'm going to die trying. And I absolutely meant every word. People despise it, but I'm simply the most competitive, relentless person you'll encounter. And I just never surrender. I genuinely love tackling consistent, complex, challenging problems. That's what drives me out of bed each morning. The harder the challenges become, the more thrilling they are to me. I'm exceptionally skilled at obsessing over one thing more intensely than anyone else on Earth. If I had to identify my superpower, it's that I can obsess endlessly about something. That's simply who I am. At my core, when you reflect on the past decade of your life and the success you've achieved solving these challenging problems, if you were to break it down into core components you've discovered, obsession is one that you've mentioned. Absolutely. What are the others? Listen, obviously, who you surround yourself with matters tremendously, and fortunately, I connected with the right people. I absorb the energy from those around me. The fundamental foundation is extreme ownership. Don't create excuses, and take complete ownership. Accept accountability. Sure, maybe it was beyond your control, but it could have been within your control if you had thought it through more thoroughly, if you genuinely cared enough. That's the message I'm trying to communicate. The other principle that emerges in this, and throughout all your work, is the concept that nothing is truly impossible. I don't understand why. But when people tell me I can't accomplish something, I do not know where this originated from. It makes me want to achieve it even more, honestly. If you tell me I shouldn't do something, that's acceptable. But if you tell me I can't, then everything in my body wants to prove you wrong. I obviously can. Does physics permit it? Then yes, it's achievable. It's just a question of whether we want to invest the time. I feel like people overcomplicate numerous things. It's not that you can't accomplish it. You just don't want to. You simply need to genuinely love what you do and push through obstacles. Something I constantly remind myself is this: how you feel right now is why no one else does what you do. And if you push through this moment, that's just another reason why no one will ever become who you are. I believe being able to push through unhappiness and do things you don't want to do consistently, year after year, over the course of a decade, is the ultimate competitive advantage. Being consistently uncomfortable and able to consistently endure suffering over extended periods is arguably one of the deepest competitive moats. There's a reason no one creates videos like mine, not even remotely close, because no one wants to live the life I live. What 5 characteristics would I need to demonstrate to be successful? You must be extremely coachable, because whatever I teach you today will evolve a year or 2 from now. Always learning, always improving. A crucial factor for me is you must see the value in working here. This isn't merely a job. This is a career. If you don't realistically envision a world where you're working for me in 10 years, then it's challenging for me to invest in you at the level I desire. I don't enjoy training someone for 6 months, having them work here for a year, then losing them. What I prefer is training someone for a year and then receiving 9 years of dividends on the back end where they excel at their role, and I'm constantly increasing their compensation because they're becoming more valuable over time. That is truly the 8th wonder of the world, investing heavily in an employee who then remains for a decade. So, coachable, sees the value, obviously obsessed. I simply don't enjoy working with mediocre individuals. I genuinely can't tolerate it. It's the fastest way to make me depressed, if I have to work with someone who isn't all in and doesn't love what they do. Like I mentioned, I believe one of my greatest superpowers is my obsession. Some people might view that as a weakness, but if you think about solving problems 3 times more than everyone else, you're bound to develop different solutions. There's simply a lot of characteristics like that. I'm sure if you listen to a Steve Jobs interview or something, he discusses these typical traits. Obsessed, coachable, all in, sees the value. And what is the single worst trait? Mediocrity. It's problematic because they're not terrible enough to fire them, but not exceptional either. The issue is, and you see it in full effect, great people simply love working with other great people. They do. There's something about being around great people that unleashes some kind of drive in you that makes you want to accomplish more, push harder, and believe impossible things are achievable. When you place me around other successful entrepreneurs, I transform into a completely different human than if you put me around people running small businesses who don't really care and lack ambition. I become two completely different humans. You see that same phenomenon in full effect. Place a bunch of A players around more A players, and they build off of each other. But place 2 or 3 C players among great people, and they'll start dragging them down. They'll make them not want to work as hard, make work less enjoyable. Everyone knows to eliminate the C players. Obviously get rid of people who aren't all in. It's the ones who aren't A players, but aren't C players either. It's challenging because you still absorb their energy, and if you accumulate enough of them, it drags the overall culture down. Those are the worst. When it comes to mission-critical things like creating videos, one of your primary responsibilities as a leader is ensuring your great people work with other great people. That's the number 1 reason people leave jobs, not money. That's number 4 on the list. Don't ask me to list them all. I don't remember. I just know the primary factor is, do they enjoy who they're working with? People will leave their job because they hate working with certain people, long before they'll ever leave because of money. What about your parents? Mother and father. You discuss your mother frequently. What influence did they both have on you? Well, I don't really discuss my father much. That's a long story I don't need to elaborate on. But my mother, honestly, it wasn't easy initially. My mom and I have a phenomenal relationship now, but during the rise, it was quite rough because in 2008, they were over-leveraged. We literally went bankrupt. My mom was working 2 jobs and barely getting by. I didn't see her much because when I was returning from school, she was at her 2nd job. It was difficult because she was a single mother raising us while working constantly. I don't discuss much of this, but I have Crohn's disease, so I was very ill growing up. My brother also had health issues. We weren't the healthiest children during our teenage years. She was just trying to survive and care for us. Then she'd come home to this brat being annoying, saying I want to be a YouTuber, and she was begging me. Sometimes she would literally cry and beg me to do homework. I didn't mean it maliciously, but I once told her, if you want my homework completed, why don't you just do it yourself? That's what I told my mother. I was just like, I don't care. I just want to be successful and build businesses. Bless her heart. Fortunately, it worked out. Now I spoil her completely. She has her 2nd home, anything she could ever want. The first thing I did was start supporting my mom financially once I started earning money, because she sacrificed everything to get me where I am. I wouldn't be here without her. But it was like we spoke different languages when I was younger. She didn't want me to end up like them, struggling financially. Her brain couldn't comprehend the world I envisioned, and my brain couldn't comprehend the world she saw. It was constant friction. The thing is, nothing she said was unreasonable. Looking back, she was perfectly reasonable in her actions. I was just a deranged lunatic, way too obsessed with building the business and way too all in. But I don't really feel risk. If anything, risk excites me. Why did you want to become a YouTuber? Because kids say that. But the extent to which you said it and the focus you had on that particular goal, there are many things you could have focused on. You could have been a video game player, whatever. But YouTube is particularly interesting because you're on camera. People are seeing it. There's a metric determining your success. Was there any element of the on-camera aspect that helped solve the feeling of isolation you seemed to have at that time? I think it's more about the fact that I discovered at a young age, probably around 11, that there were YouTubers earning hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, and I thought, that's it, the money aspect. Of course, because back then we didn't have money, and I really wanted to care for my mom and family in general. It was everything. This is what I love doing. I've never experienced as much joy doing something as I do this. Plus, I could see a path where I could actually retire my mom, care for her, repay her for all those nights she worked so we could live comfortably. One thing that irritates me is when people try to put someone's motivation into one category. We're very complex creatures. You have a girlfriend. I would never say, you just like her because she's attractive. You like her because she's attractive, but probably also because she's intelligent, fun to be around, likes similar shows, and so on. You could probably give me 1,000 reasons why you like your girlfriend. It's very annoying when people try to categorize why you enjoy doing a certain job or building a certain business into one bucket. Oh, you just do it for money. What if I do it because I like money and I enjoy it, and it's a way to communicate with people and build community and these other things? I think that's a common flaw we make. It's not that simple. I think many people can't understand someone being so relentlessly focused on something with your level of commitment and sustained dedication. I agree because it's very unusual. I can have the same thoughts, repeatedly. It wasn't work for me grinding YouTube for those 10 years when no one was really watching. It had to have been a deep obsession because you were doing it when no one was watching or paying attention, especially when the platform was different. There was literally a day when I was 19 or 20 where I woke up and joined a Skype call with my friends where we were reverse engineering why certain videos perform well. I remember that call lasting over 18 hours. Then I hung up, went to bed, woke up the next day, and instantly got back on the call and continued. That was the level of hours we were investing. I didn't know anything besides trying to make it happen. This is the life I chose. You want success. You want to change the world. You want to accomplish these things. This is the price you must pay. Do you think the average person would want to be in your head? And secondly, are you happy? No. The average person does not want to live my life or be in my head. They would be miserable because they're constantly working. They would probably ask themselves, why am I working all the time? Why don't I do literally anything else? Obviously, I'm not a robot. There are times when I think, I really want to play that strategy board game, or I want to do this thing. I look at my schedule and think, maybe I could do that in 4 days. The difficult part is, you really have to be delicate with how you frame your mind because it's very easy in moments like that to think, I'm like a zoo animal. I don't have free will. I'm like a little robot serving my businesses. You have to be very careful. And sometimes those emotions take over, especially because I'm a very defiant person and I think, but I really want to do this thing. But I can't because I have to film this video and do this and speak at this conference and do this networking event. I think most people, when that feeling emerges of, am I just an animal? Do I have any free will? Would probably become very depressed. But I've been able to work through those feelings. I always try to, your brain, you just have to control your thoughts. You should actually see this as positive because this is why, which is why I'm very deliberate about how I frame things in my mind. This is why no one else will do what you do, and this is beneficial. What you're feeling right now is your competitive moat. You're fortunate it's difficult. Push through it, and you'll be glad you did. That's how I try to view it. But no, I don't think most people would be happy living my life. They would think, let's just grab a couple $1 million and be content. Are you happy? It depends on what day you ask me. Right now, I'm having a good time. When I had the flu in Africa, sitting in a cage with lions, no. What's your baseline? How would you describe your baseline? Probably this year, so far, more unhappy than happy. There are just things you have to do that aren't enjoyable. With someone who is performing so well on a platform like YouTube where the algorithm constantly changes, so many YouTubers I speak to say they eventually get burnout. Creative burnout, and they just delete their channel. You've seen a lot of it recently where YouTubers hit 10 million subscribers and just stop. Yes. Has stopping ever crossed your mind? Oh, absolutely. All the time. Seriously. Yes. When was the closest you came to quitting? Probably countless times. I guess I never truly would have quit. My biggest consideration would be quitting for like a week and thinking, let me sleep 9 hours a night. I feel like YouTube is like throwing coal into a train engine. You just have to keep throwing it in once you've started. You can never stop feeding it. You're running on a treadmill cranked to maximum speed, especially if you want to be a top-tier creator like me. It's about who can stay on the treadmill longest because it never slows down. If anything, you're making it faster. But no, I don't think there's ever been a time when I actually would have quit unironically. Breaks probably would have been nice. When you think forward at that treadmill, can you see yourself doing it for the next 2, 3, 4 decades? Oh, absolutely. Of course. I don't have any intention of ever stopping. To go viral, you have to do something that's never been done before. I've told this story before. If you're driving down the road and you see a cow, who cares? It's just a cow. But if you're driving down the road and you see a purple cow, you've never seen that before and it's unexpected. You're going to think, holy crap, and you're going to tell your friends about it. You're going to remember that. You'll probably even think about it randomly every couple of years. Why was there a purple cow? It's the same thing, just one was purple. You can apply that same analogy to ideas. When you're scrolling through social media to find a video to watch, there are things you know have been done before. You've seen roughly similar content. You're just going to scroll past it. You'll never think about it again. Just like you'll never think about a regular cow on the roadside. Then there are ideas that are like the purple cow concept, which is what I try to create. Things that make you think, what? I've never seen that. I have to click this or I won't be able to sleep tonight because why does this video exist? No way they did this. But those are typically very challenging, usually to get that perfect purple cow effect. They've never been done before. If something's never been done before, there's usually a reason, because it's extremely difficult. You just have to train yourself not to resent very difficult, complex, challenging, original problems and actually run toward them, because those are the ones that tend to have more of the purple cow effect where people have to watch. It's much easier to get 50 million views on one video than to get 1 million views on 50 videos, because it scales exponentially and it's winner takes all at the top. You really have to lean into that purple cow effect. I think we'll hit 1 billion subscribers. And I don't think anyone will be anywhere close, because once you make a couple $1 million, why would you live the life I live? Why wouldn't you take weekends off? Why wouldn't you prioritize your sanity and that kind of stuff? It makes no sense, but that's why no one else does it.